Well, welcome everyone to the All Alumni and Friends Reunion and Awards Reception. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Andy McEnroe, Wilmington Friends School class of 2004, and I have the distinct honor right now of serving as the current clerk of the Alumni Board. A lot of good Alumni Board members here in attendance tonight as well. For those of you that may be unfamiliar with the Alumni Board, the Wilmington Friends School Alumni Board is designed to support and uphold the Quaker values and philosophies for both the school and its alumni community by working collaboratively to promote and develop a spirit of community among the alumni of Wilmington Friends, establish a cohesive network promoting communication between alumni and the school, create, sponsor, and organize activities designed to support Wilmington Friends School through service, financially or otherwise, and serve as a general resource for both students and the school community for educational, career, and other mentorship opportunities. This is my plug for all of you that are alums to join the Alumni Board. We always are looking for new members, and we've got an ambitious objectives this year as part of the board as we continue to transform it. But one of the key honors and responsibilities of the Alumni Board is to recommend, research, and facilitate the selection of our alumna or alumnus of the year candidates. The Alumni Board spends countless hours soliciting nominations from the broader community, researching those candidates, and ultimately discussing, as well as selecting via consensus, our outstanding Alumni Award winners. I can speak personally here, and for the entire board, we take this responsibility incredibly seriously, and as a result, I think you'll see it in the program, we have an outstanding lineup of honorees this evening. It's packed here tonight, folks, and that's great for both those honorees, but also it's an especially meaningful night because we have the privilege of honoring Coach Bob Tattersall. So in preparing for tonight and in talking with my wife, who is also an educator, she reminded me that for teachers and coaches, the hope is always to make just a small difference in a respective student's life. Looking around the room, interacting with various alums, classes, coaches that Coach T interacted with, I think it's clear that Coach Tattersall did far more than that. He left a lasting impact not only on generations of students and athletes here at Wilmington Friends School, but on the community and the institution itself. For me personally, T shaped some of the core values that I still carry today. From lower school PE to middle school basketball, to playing both baseball and football at the varsity level for him, he taught me the importance of hard work, teamwork, and making the most of every talent that you've been given. And while I'd still like to remind him this evening that he owes me one last handoff for being voluntold to play left guard after breaking my wrist, I'm truly grateful to stand here tonight alongside all of you to honor a man who has given each of us and Wilmington Friends so much. Now, in reflection of our Quaker values, as we get set to start tonight's program, I'd like to ask everyone and invite you all for a moment of silence. Thank you. Now to continue with our celebration, please welcome to the podium Ken Aldridge, head of school here at Wilmington Friends.
Good evening, friends. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome. Not only welcome to those of you celebrating reunions, but thank you to all of our alums. There are actually quite a few parents of graduates here, and many folks who are friends of the school. And so typically an expression we say just for our alums, but I want to say to all of you for tonight, welcome home. It is such a joy to see so many familiar faces coming back to Friends. As Andy said, tonight we gather to honor our past, we celebrate the present, and we look ahead to even a brighter future. Homecoming is a little earlier this year. Some of you have heard me talk about that. I can talk about the IAA and some other things later. But that has not slowed the energy on campus and the excitement we have for an early homecoming. The last few weeks, I've had the joy of watching our lower school students eagerly explore what we are lovingly calling Friends Village. These temporary cottages are serving as the home for our preschool, our pre-K, and first through third graders, while our lower school building undergoes a significant transformation. And if you haven't been down in lower school, I encourage you to go down there. We are doing some hard hat tours. If there's still open registrations, I encourage you to sign up for those. What could have felt like a disruption with this construction instead feels like an adventure, thanks to our incredible faculty, proof that children often show us how to embrace change with openness and curiosity. Inside the lower school, walls have come down and new windows and HVAC systems are being installed, making the beginning of a truly transformative project. Some of you have registered for tomorrow, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. So you get a chance to see a glimpse of this work, which started in earnest as soon as school ended in June. We also continue to move forward with our Empowering Generations strategic plan, which entered the implementation phase over the summer. Teams of faculty, staff, trustees, and parents collaborated on initiatives across 4 key areas, which we are calling compass points: empowering students and families, developing a program for today's world, fostering a connected, valued, and inspired community, and reimagining spaces for wellness, community, and innovation. This important work is helping to shape the next chapter of the Wilmington Friends School story. While considering this next chapter of the Wilmington Friends School story, we must also acknowledge the success of our graduates, whose chapters to the Friends story are both past and present. These stories have pasts that reflect the diversity and impact of a Friends education. Just this year, we have highlighted a doctor of veterinary medicine, a behavioral specialist, a structural engineer, alumni with decades of public service, professionals at GE Aerospace, clinical psychologists, teachers, student athletes, CFOs, professors, environmental lawyers, and doctors. Their achievements embody the values of scholarship, service, and integrity that we cherish at Friends. I'd like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the individuals who co-authored this weekend. They are a part of what we affectionately call the Jones House staff. So when you hear your name, if you can wave so we can say thanks. Special thanks to the following members: Laura Kurz, Aileen McGuire. Aileen? Where's Aileen? Aileen's back there. Terry McGuire. Terry's right here, refusing to wave his hand. Terry's right here. Lynn Nathan. Scott Nickel. Christy Pastro. Lisa Payton McNeil. Lisa's right there. And Tina Sabatino. I'm grateful for their dedication, tireless work, attention to detail, and for whatever deal they made, individually or collectively, with Mother Nature for this weekend's weather. I want to thank, too, the members of our facilities and maintenance team who've done an exceptional job getting the campus ready for this weekend, especially when it's so close to the opening of school. I also want to thank our alumni board led by Chair Andy McEnroe, class of '04, for its leadership. And finally, thank you to our alumni and all of you for coming back to campus this weekend. You are the embodiment of what a Friends education stands for. Please join me in a round of applause. So now we'll move to our alumni awards. We start with Young Alumna of the Year, TyLisa C. Johnson, class of 2013. TyLisa is an award-winning journalist and poet whose work combines editorial storytelling, audience strategy, and community-focused journalism. Currently the audience engagement producer at the Poynter Institute, TyLisa has reported on a wide range of social and cultural issues and contributed to publications including the Philadelphia Inquirer, Tampa Bay Times, and Public Source. She has also shared her expertise through podcasts and radio appearances. TyLisa embodies the spirit of curiosity, excellence, and impact that a Friends education inspires. It is my pleasure to award her the Young Alumna of the Year.
Hi, everybody. Hi. It's so wild to be back. It's very surreal. This room is packed. I don't know what I was expecting. I am a millennial, so I'm going to read my notes off my phone, if that's fine. Thank you all. Thank you so much. This is truly incredible. It was surreal to receive this call. I am deeply humbled and honored to accept this award and really to be back home. This is home for me. And with all of you, you are my friends' family. And so a special thank you to the Alumni Association for this meaningful honor and for your support. Even after so many years, I really appreciate it. Thank you to my teachers. So many of you still keep in touch. You follow my Substack. You tell me happy birthday on Facebook every year. It's amazing. Thank you to my classmates and my friends, especially those who are here tonight. Shout out to class of 2013. Thank you to FAMU. Thank you to my parents and my siblings and my partner, everybody here at this table, and my grandmothers who are smiling down on me. Your unconditional love and unwavering support truly have been my foundation, and I am so grateful. Thank you all for teaching me the power of my light and how to let it shine. Thank you for teaching me to let my life speak. One of the most powerful lessons that I learned here as a girl is that you must truly, no matter what, let your life speak. And that's been one of the most important and also difficult assignments of my life, to let my life speak. As a girl, it was confusing, but as an adult, it's become a mantra for me. It empowers me to walk in my truth and to stand firm on my values, and it requires an unyielding courage to be yourself and to be bold and to be seen making decisions that won't make sense to anyone until years from now. But what I've learned since graduating is that when you let your life speak, there's no dream too big. You are limitless. And when you do this, you empower others to do the same, to find their voice and to use it boldly and to live in their purpose, which is what we should all be doing. Friends has been and continues to be one of the biggest blessings in my life, and I am so grateful to you all. Now more than ever, it is truly time to lean on our Quaker values, be bold with grace, don't just talk about the issues, but show up for your community, and live your values in every moment. I want to finish with a poem, if that's okay. I only got a couple minutes, y'all. It's very short, I promise. It's called The Dream Keeper by Langston Hughes. Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all of your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth, away from the too rough affairs of the world. I'll finish by saying thank you to the Friends community for being my dream keeper, and for always, always, always encouraging me to let my life speak.
Thank you, TyLisa. Our next awardee is Lesley Dennis Tryon, class of 1971, with the Outstanding Service Award. Lesley has dedicated more than 3 decades to Wilmington Friends School, most recently serving as Assistant Director of Finance. Known for her patience, kindness, and unwavering commitment, Lesley has been the go-to resource for both employees and families. Beyond Friends, she serves as President of the Board for Survivors of Abuse and Recovery, SOAR, and as Treasurer for Friends of Bellevue State Park. Lesley is currently the Endowment and Finance Administration at the Jewish Federation of Delaware, a loyal donor and parent of alumni from the classes of 2006 and 2008. Lesley exemplifies the spirit of service and community that defines WFS. Lesley Tryon, class of 71, Outstanding Service Award.
Hi, everybody. TyLisa's a tough act to follow. However, I loved hearing what TyLisa had to say, because that is why we do what we do. That's exactly why we do what we do, and who we are. I really want to thank the Alumni Committee. I'm just especially honored that this award came from them, from my fellow alums who are amazing. And I don't mean to sound like false humility, but I was shocked. Wyatt Thompson called, and I cry a lot, so I almost cried. I was so honored because all of the people who get these awards are just the most amazing people. It's not lost on Bruce and TyLisa and me that we are sharing the stage with T tonight. A little bit, just a little bit. T was my teacher. I babysat for Susie and Julie. Robbie wasn't even thought of. He might have been, but I mean, that's not on me. Not on me. But Robbie used to carry my daughter up. She'd fall asleep at ASP, because of course I'm here till 6 o'clock at night and ASP closed, and Robbie would carry my poor sleeping daughter up to me. Bob would drive me home at 1 o'clock in the morning in his little red VW Bug with the stick shift, in whatever year that was. So I believe Mr. Bickley is here. He was my teacher. You never really leave Wilmington Friends School. And as TyLisa said, this wasn't a job to me. Friends truly is my home. And my colleagues are truly my family. So, I mean, it wasn't a job because you do for family, right? I mean, I enjoyed coming. I loved Monday mornings. Not that I didn't enjoy being with my family, of course, my other family, but yeah, I just really enjoyed coming in here and seeing everybody and just enjoying. I do want to thank my family. My daughter is able to be here this evening. My husband sent me a lovely text how much he loves me. He's a little under the weather. But my family did put up with a lot because, I mean, I would eat, leave, breathe, live Wilmington Friends School, right, Aim? And so they had a lot to put up with. I'll never forget going out when she was playing a hockey game, and I was busy. I couldn't make it 4 feet out there because I was in the middle of something. And I finally got out there at halftime, and she said, "Did you see my goal?" Yes, I did. Hopefully somebody taped it for me because, I actually wasn't there. I'm so sorry. But I was sort of here. Now I get to apologize publicly. And then the flogging will be after. But I really do. I really do love this place. I was able to say a few words on the 275th video. And I said, "Well, Friends makes good people." And then I listened back to it and I thought, well, that was less than profound. I mean, everybody says all these wonderful things, but when I thought about it, that actually is what we do. That's what we do best. That's what we do the most. Schools can educate kids. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. But we make good people. And my colleagues, who I'm amazed by them, that they create these good people. I wouldn't go down to lunch when middle school was down there because I wasn't good at creating these humans, but I just but my colleagues were, and so for that I thank you very much, everybody, for this honor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lesley. Our next awardee is Bruce P. Begans, class of '69, for Distinguished Alumnus of the Year. Bruce has achieved remarkable distinction across business, science, and the arts. As chairman of the Textile Museum in Washington, D.C., Bruce has transformed the institution's financial standing, facilities, and global reach. He also chairs the Near Eastern Art Research Center and serves in key roles at other major museums and universities. A respected geologist, Bruce's career in the petroleum industry is distinguished by top exploration track records and influential research. His philanthropy supports geology education, museum exhibitions, and fossil collections, reflecting a lifelong passion for discovery. Bruce embodies leadership, scholarship, and service to the global community, values that are central to Wilmington Friends School. Bruce Begans, Distinguished Alumnus of the Year.
This was a hard act to follow with the other honorees and their remarks, so bear with me. Thank you, Friends School Alumni Association, Andy McEnroe, head of school, Ken Aldrich. This is an honor to accept this award. Ken and I went to the same college. Unfortunately, he majored in chemistry. I majored in geology. Geology is one of those few professions where you are employed in your hobby for a lifetime. Can't say that for chemistry. One of the luckiest days of my life was when I was admitted to the kindergarten class of 1956, along with some other distinguished people from my class. And thank you so much for being here tonight. Anne, Martha, Anne, Dave, Barry. It's terrific to see you. It was a privilege to have a Friends School education. Reading, writing, organization, creativity. These are the fundamental things that we have from Friends School. They brought us to a life of being able to do whatever we wanted to do. In my case, originally geology, some academia, some business, industry, and then later, completely different, arts, museum, and the humanities. Most importantly, though, for Friends School was the development of who we are individually and our Quaker values. I think it's no accident that after Friends School, many other friends influenced me. For the Textile Museum in Washington, D.C., my immediate predecessor was the former president of Swarthmore College, a lifelong friend. For my PhD, my principal advisor and mentor was a friend. Not only was he, again, a friend, he was also, of course, a geologist, and his wife also a geologist, reflecting the lifelong hobby of the science. Wilmington Friends School really set me on a course of the geology, the academia, the business, the arts, but it was more than that. It's who I am. I want to recognize a couple of faculty members that are no longer with us that were important to everyone as leaders. Sally Longstreth, Ted Savory, Ambrose Short. Many of the people in this room will remember them, not all will. Among those that are still with us today, Arthur W. Hill, who taught 9th grade earth science, and in a class of 64, 2 sections of earth science, so it would have really been 48 students. Imagine that he excited the interest in geology so that 3 of the classmates went on for graduate degrees in geology. The 3 classmates, they're 2 PhDs and 3 master's degrees. This is remarkable educational influence. Again, Friends School. And Art Hill, because of stimulating this interest, one of the most important people in my life. Finally, but not least, we're gathered here tonight to also recognize Bob Tattersall. And I was a 7th grader, 1962 or 63. Mr. Tattersall was student teaching at Friends School basketball. I think there are a few that were from that generation, but here tonight, I might be the only one, and we were hoping that Bill Harmon would be here also. Unfortunately, couldn't, but he would have been in that same group that Mr. Tattersall tutored in the beginnings of how to play basketball. Think about the remarkable influence that one single faculty member had on the student body. 63 years at Friends School. Could anybody have been more influential to 1, 2, 3 generations of students than Mr. Tattersall? I doubt it. No chance. Thank you. I wasn't a particular athlete, but I get the values. I'm deeply touched by the recognition. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Friends School, for what you have done for me. And I can't finish without a shameless pitch. We owe Friends School a lot, and we should always be prepared to give back in any way that we can. So, thank you, everyone.
It's now my privilege to start our celebration of football head coach emeritus, Bob Tattersall. It is a true honor today to recognize Bob Tattersall, a teacher, athletic director, mentor, and friend whose impact at Wilmington Friends School stretches far beyond the football field. Since joining Friends in 1968, Coach Tattersall has embodied the values that define our community: integrity, humility, and a steadfast belief that the team concept was more important than the individual and that the student came before the player. Through decades of leadership, he built one of the most successful football programs in Delaware history. But even more importantly, he shaped generations of young people to carry discipline, resilience, and kindness into the world. T, your legacy is not only measured in wins, but also in the lifelong relationships you've built, the lessons you've instilled, and the love you've shown to this community. As you have often reminded us, wins and losses fade, but the relationships you build last a lifetime. Today, we celebrate you not just as the winningest coach in state history, but as a cornerstone of the Friends community and a living example of Quaker values in action. So we need to explain these chocolate milkshakes that are around. It's all chocolate. We got you, T. You all may know T likes chocolate milkshakes, but not just any chocolate milkshakes. They have to be from the charcoal pit. These are charcoal pit milkshakes, T. I'm sure you knew that when you tasted it. So T, on behalf of the charcoal pit, we're here to celebrate you. And this is from the charcoal pit, T. Coach T has been a regular at the charcoal pit for years, and nearly every day he orders his favorite, our classic chocolate shake. From Coach Bix Bush When I took T to the pit for the first time, he tried a chocolate shake, and that was about a year or so ago. Now he's a regular, and if we aren't having lunch, he sneaks in to take out for another for chocolate shake, and I have all the servers watching out for him and reporting back to me. We all give him a bad time for all the chocolate shakes he has, other than his Friday visit with me. He loves the pit, and now that I am leaving the area, he takes over as leader, coach of the pit. I have gone there regularly since the 70s. Now T takes over. Ha! That's from Bix Bush. It feels fitting that Delaware's oldest school and Delaware's most iconic restaurant come together for this occasion. In recognition of Coach T, we at the Charcoal Pit are proud to announce that our Shake of the Month, this December, in honor of his birthday, we're proud to announce that our Shake of the Month this December in honor of his birthday will be the Quaker Shake, a chocolate shake named just for him. It's the only sweeter than Coach T. It is the only sweeter than a Coach T win. We are thrilled to join Wilmington Friends School in celebrating such a remarkable coach, mentor, and friend. And T, Aileen, did you already? So friends, if you can all raise a glass, your very own Quaker shake, and say cheers to Coach T. Cheers. Now I have to say, we tried to keep this under wraps as best we could, but Wilmington being Wilmington, that didn't happen. At least this part was kept quiet. We learned tonight that someone at the pit asked T and Bix, how do I get to the library? Despite our constant reminders, do not tell T. Do not ask T. So you knew the milkshakes were coming, but you didn't know the Quaker shake was coming. So T, we have some other folks who want to honor and celebrate you. First, we'll bring up is Bill Goulding, your former colleague and former. I've got him on a timer. He and I have talked. Bill Goulding is former head of school 1973, 1979. Bill, before you come up, I just have one thing to say. When T and I talked about this event in the summer, he didn't want it to be a memorial. I said, no, it won't be a memorial. What I didn't know was later he said he wanted it to be a roast. Well, he wished it could be a roast. I will let you do with what you want with that information. But please help me welcome and honor T by asking Bill Goulding to come forward. Go.
Thanks, Ken. I want to add, I'm just so pleased that Ken is contributing to being the head of this school. It's just wonderful. There is not much I know that would ever scare T, but this would scare him to death. You start your timer? Actually, Ken never let me know that there would be others to contribute to this. I'm going to have to try to hustle through this. I want to give greetings to all because, with one exception, I am personally so happy to be in this special place. And I think many of us know that the longer we are away, the more special and more deeply the recognition comes about how special Friends School is to each of us. I say that especially now to the class of 75. Looking forward to your gathering tomorrow. That one exception is that I knew as soon as Ken gave me a call that I could not do justice to T, not even close. He's been a greatly valued, special, long-term friend. In my first year here, in 1969, 69, I quickly learned about T. Mike Buchanan and I shared a small office space just a little bit down this hall and just down the hall from Dan Johnson's biology lab. Mike and I were furiously preparing for the next period when in walked Bobby Hackett. Let me see who the other was. Neil. Yep. And also, not to be forgotten, Bill Harmon. Do you know it was only about 5 minutes before the lights went out and they started looking at game films? That told me a lot. Plus doing my preparation somewhere else. Bob, I think, has a rule, and we often hear about that rule as KISS, keep it simple, stupid. His coaching basics rarely change, but you know what's remarkable? All those other teams and coaches came in here knowing that it didn't change, and they still lost. And that's because of his emphasis on execution, hard work, details, belief in others around you. He made another contribution that you may not be aware of. It was a contribution to the alphabet. He kept that simple also. Only X's and O's. In fact, once I unexpectedly became head, I saw him busily writing during a meeting and I thought he was faithfully taking notes. When I looked at it, it was X's and O's and a few squiggly lines. But his real message is play by the rules. Don't cut corners. Work hard. Believe in preparation. Believe in others. Execute fully and correctly. And halftime, even symbolically, matters. Step back. Analyze. Adjust. Bob, in my mind, represents the core ethos of what this community is. Simplicity, authenticity, trust, caring, being present for others, and more. You also may not know that he's a prankster. The roots of that are in his interest in ornithology. Right, Bob? In fact, I think he did extended studies of the behavior of ravens. True? On a personal note, Bob is among a precious circle of valued friends. Our kids grew up together, including Robbie and my son Rick, sitting in the grate in the fireplace in the farmhouse, in front of the large white oriental rug, kicking their feet in the ashes until the clouds flew throughout the living room. When I unexpectedly became head, the administrative and program differences that Bob and I encountered never made a difference in our personal relationship. I think more and more today we realize that's a rare thing. We had issues like a free scoreboard, remember? Postseason tournaments, which at that time were a no-no for the conference. Scheduling priorities, early departures. But Bob would always state his position clearly. argue with facts and passion, and then move on, no matter what the outcome. That is kind of rare. We're reminded, make your case, work hard, move on. If your number's not called, you're an important part of the whole, and your number will come up. In conclusion, there have been many people who have been remarkable in the history of Friends School. This is an amazing place. Not only that, but this event has become a remarkable event. We started homecoming during my time as head, and I know that boarding schools often have a very strong draw to people who live their full lives together in their schools. It's more rare to have the strong draw among day schools, but Friends School is among the few schools I know where that is a powerful, powerful draw. When you think about it, the impact of Bob Tattersall includes his extended family. I think I understood there are 11 grandchildren that came through Friends School. Is that right? 8. Oh, 8 plus 3 of your own. Sorry, mixed that up. And along with Bob's years here, you have to double that because every year he spent here was also a year for Diane. If you add it up, I think the Tattersall years are older than the school that is 275. When Bob first came here from the University of Delaware, I don't think he expected to stay long, but osmosis did its thing. The special spirit of Friends School became an integral part of Bob's makeup. But perhaps even more remarkable is that the reverse osmosis, as the Tattersall factor continues to affirm, renews and extends the affirmation of everything that Friends School represents. I am grateful for and cherish a special connection among the most impactful people in my experience. I know that what I share is also felt by many in and beyond this room. While his job may have seemed to be on the surface teach by instruction, it also was teaching by doing. Or as friends like to say, and we heard in the first recognition speech, let your lives speak. Bob Tattersall and so many lives of the Tattersall family speak within Friends School. I'm so grateful, Bob, for our connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next to speak is someone who knows the football team particularly well. Pete Townsend, class of 75, served as football team doctor. He's also celebrating his 50th reunion this weekend. Pete.
Thank you. I just want to pull out my cell phone because I'm also a millennial. So I'm surprised that I was asked to speak tonight, and I think the reason is because Bob Tattersall and I have the same hairstyles.
My doctor.
But I will be brief. I learned some things that through football, I carried with me my whole life. And UT taught them to me, and you taught them those issues to those tenets to all of us. And already we've heard so much of it. I was actually just, I don't want, everybody else took my thunder, so thank you. And I'm just going to go over 3 quick things. One, is you taught me that I can do, and all of us can do, anything you want to do. Absolutely. If you have the drive, if you have the desire, if you have the fight, you can do it. There's no reason I should have been a football player. I mean, you know, I'm 5'7". On a good day, I played at 130 pounds, but you got me to play. And football was, without a doubt, my favorite sport I have ever done in my life. And I can say that has been repeated for decades. So thank you. 2, you taught me that you can't be anything without a good team. And you built team after team after team. You were amazing. And if you just want an example of a good team, just look at your table. You and Diane have built a phenomenal team. Look at your children and their accomplishments. Look at your grandchildren. It's amazing what you've both done. Excellent work. Go team. And there's one more thing, and it's a little odd, it's a little offbeat, but it's something that I really carried with me. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. One of the things, it was during a Monday morning or Monday afternoon chalk talk, and we were going over what the offense of the opposing team was going to show us. And we always got, you know, a 20 or 25 page scouting report. And at that chalk talk, which was not too far from here, in one of the classrooms, T said, I want you to use this concept. Eidetic imagery rehearsal. And of course, John Reynolds immediately told him after he wrote it on the board, he said he misspelled it, but that's all right. So, for those who don't know what that is, eidetic imagery rehearsal is when you think of something that's going to happen and you try and formulate images in your mind and see how it's going to play out. And in a way, you actually can rehearse and you can go through what is going to happen. And the point was, this is what the offense is going to show you. You know where you're going to be on that field. Start to think of what it's going to look like when they come at you. Put yourself on the field. Put them in the uniforms they're going to wear, and watch them go through these different plays. And I did that. And I rehearsed that. And it taught me that you can learn so much from self-rehearsal. And I brought that to me in medical school. I used it when I was in my surgical training as a resident. I actually, when I was going to do something, a procedure I'd never done before, I rehearsed that in my mind, that eidetic imagery rehearsal. I rehearsed those procedures in my mind to the point when I stepped into the operating room for the first time to do that procedure, my instructors were amazed. And I've carried that with me through my entire career. And it's really made me a better surgeon. And so, for that, I thank you. And not only that, all the thousands of patients that has helped, they thank you too. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Rob Buccini, class of '86. Before he comes, I want to acknowledge that Rob, along with his brother Chris, were celebrated here 20 years ago, Alumni of the Year in 2005. Rob Buccini.
Thank you. I want to congratulate all the award winners tonight. TyLisa, I need your numbers, so I've got a couple of speeches I have to give that hopefully you can write. You just need an email. better than any ChatGPT that I've ever seen. Tonight we're here to honor a legend. This will be emotional, but maybe I'll get to more laughable moments. But T, you had an impact on me greater than anyone else in my life other than my parents. And I say that because you taught us how to be prepared, how to be humble, and how to believe in yourself, as Pete said, that no matter what you put your mind to, you know that you can succeed. And we learn that every day after class on the football field. And the humbleness that you demonstrated with all the accolades that you had was transmitted to us as a player. And I'm humbled to be here today. You know, we have some of the greatest running backs, T's favorites, Gary Scott, Dan Fleming. And no matter how well we did, we would always talk later in the week about Gary or Dan or some of the great running backs. I remember once we beat Chestnut Hill at Chestnut Hill Academy, and I think it was literally 48-0. It could have been 100-0. And the next day, I'm looking around at Eric Opperbeck and Carl Opperbeck and Sam Brickley, and I'm like, we're pretty good. But T's talking about the legends, the people that won those 40 games. And so what we had to do is we had to go on and win a state championship. And many of you who played in that game will remember the headline before we played Dickinson was "Powerful Rams to wage war on tiny Quakers." And that was the real deal. And we were in the bus on the way to the game. We were terrified. We had Steve Napier, Vando Davis, the two fastest players in the state. They were star track runners, I think, in Tennessee. And we had no business being on the field again. But the reason we won was because we had a resolute belief in ourselves that you and coaches taught us throughout the many years. And so you had an impact not only on us, the thousands of players you coached here, but also the thousands of players that we coached against. The people that I work with at Tower Hill and Tatnall today still complain that they were outcoached by T. And that is true. But we have to touch on the 1984 state championship game, which was the first game that you won as a coach. And I think when we were in the stands at the University of Delaware for the second game that you were there for, we were lamenting that you had to have two unbelievable grandchildren athletes to replicate another victory. So we were planning ahead with a son who had a brilliant coaching mind. And so while we were a little bittersweet at the end that you all won and we were no longer the golden team in the oldest school in the state of Delaware, we did realize that we pounded Claymont. I think it was 22 to 6. And our parents, unlike Robbie's team, they didn't have to come back at halftime after the tailgate because we were so dominating. The parents, the game was over at halftime. Whereas your grandsons, they took them, I think, the whole game. It was 10-7. When we look at the greatest team, in all, joking aside, I think I realized, Robbie, when your boys were at our yard one day on Thanksgiving playing, I'm like, oh my God, these boys are incredible. And the youngest grandson scored a touchdown in his first game playing for Harvard this year. Yeah. So, congratulations. Go back here. I think when Pete walked in at 5'7", you knew that he should be a lineman. And that kind of sums it up all. But the other thing that we learned was to respect our elders. And so many times, if we were, I think today you would say ADD, I'd be picking my shirt with my, or not paying attention, we look over and just the look that Bob would give us, we would call it the quiver look. He didn't quiver lip. He didn't say anything, but he was so annoyed by us that his lip would shake a little bit, and that put us into the position that we're supposed to be with tremendous respect. And the thing that we learned on the field was really complementary to everything that we learned academically here. And what we learned academically obviously gets us into college, but in the real world, when you're in relationships where life comes at you fast, there's ups and downs, you operate a company through COVID, spiking interest rates, tariffs, and just the noise of the economy every day that we've witnessed over the last decade. What we learned is to be tough, to understand grit, and we were taught grit before grit was like a popular name, or it'd be like G-R-I-T today. Like that was innate in us. And so the ability for us to overcome obstacles in our daily life, was what you taught us, and has made every one of the people that you've coached the people that they are today. And I can't thank you enough. You changed the trajectory of my life. When I got to Cornell, I was 16th on the depth chart, and I'm like, wait, how's that possible? You're unbelievable. But I realized that just grinding it out every single day, obviously, doing that day in, day out is what eventually got me, the start. And you don't learn that unless you go through, years of being coached by someone of your ability. So I just want to thank you for everything you've done. It's rare that you have an educator and coach that has a picture in their parents' house, but not only do we have one picture of T in our living room, I've got them in my office, and it's a reminder of every day of how fortunate I was to come to Friends School. So thank you very much.
So remember I said he was hoping it might be a roast. I think T's got a few things to say. So please join me in welcoming Bob Tattersall, Coach T.
This could be a problem. I don't quiver anymore, but my hands shake. And Dr. Ryan, Matt, where are you? Over here. I heard him. Oh yeah, I didn't he was going to be a lineman and made a quarterback. But he gave me steroids today. So, Tim Hall, where are you?
Right here.
Stand up a minute, buddy. Tim, stand up. Tim is a professional magician. And I told him if I start going too long or quivering too much, he's going to make me disappear.
The walls of the fire coming out of it?
I don't remember anything anymore. First of all, I was really glad to meet the Johnsons today. And TyLisa, I mentioned to her about other people who are writers. Brian Mann, who you met tonight, and Scott Sanders, and Zach Williams. We had a heck of an English department here that taught all these people how to really write. Really right?
Yes, sir.
Ken mentioned that I should be prepared to talk. That didn't used to be a problem. My first thought was, how do I cover 60 years? And then Diane conveniently said, you can. Don't even try. But as usual, I go for a second opinion. I go to my friend and former head, Bill Goldie, and he came up, because you always need a second opinion, all these doctors. So Bill says, well, just tell me you're going to speak for 2 minutes. And then he says, 2 minutes per year. If I start to shake a little bit, it's I'm standing wrong. I'm not very comfortable talking about myself, but thrilled to talk about other coaches, players, parents, trainers, doctors, who have made the past 60 years so memorable. And John Vargas, stand up. I thought you might take a while. John was our quasi-first trainer, but he's also a head wrestling coach, science teacher. And after, he had a dog that a friend of Rick Reynolds, those of you who know Rick Reynolds, dropped off here at school on his way south. Black lab called Crash. Crash became part of his faculty. He was a black lab. But his friend never came back for him. So in those years, 1972, 73, 74, 75, we go undefeated. Crash is a legend. And we kept all dogs off our field. Nobody hung around out there. But John, besides, and he's had enough teaching, he's gone out to Stanford and he get his doctorate degree, one of those fancy degrees. I didn't mind John leaving, but he took Crash with him. We lost 2 games last year. And I've never forgiven him. It's sad. Oh, excuse me. 4 years, 5 years later, he's back in the area. Did you bring Crash? Oh yeah, can we come to the first football game? We're gonna play Sidwell Friends. Hottest day of the year, right? First game, and he brings Crash. So we go to get on our chartered bus, and the bus driver says, oh, I can't take him. I say, who do I substitute him for? So I called the bus driver, I said, he's traveled with us for 4 years, he won't be a problem. And the guy says, well, keep him down, I'm not allowed to have him on the bus. Keep him down, we go to the turnstile. Okay, we get down there. Sidwell had beaten us about 10 years previous to that. Pretty good up here, they were very good. We win the game down there, we get on the bus. It was a long, hot game. And the air conditioning doesn't work. And you can't lower windows on those chartered buses. So now we're coming back. Now this was a very well-trained dog. And he's dying on the bus. He's got a orgasm. So do a lot of other guys, but we don't care about them. We hit the school parking lot, and the guy opens that door, and Crash goes, open it. And the guy says to me, that dog can travel with me anytime. And Crash retired undefeated. I asked John if he brought him with him tonight. I'm sure he's coming. So, you know, when you stood up here, TyLisa, you really embarrassed me. You're using a phone. I just got rid of my flip phone. But it was really good to be up here with your group. And Lesley mentioned the fact that she was like our first babysitter, all that. Don't live about a mile and a half from me. But I probably couldn't do this today, but I taught history back then, social studies. And I put all the smart ones and the good-looking ones up front. Lesley was the front runner. Front row. So, and Bruce, you really didn't have to admit what kind of athlete you were. You were fine. You were like a lot of other guys. But you were surrounded by Billy Harmon, Bobby Hackett, Neil Masters. Pretty good people. Okay. Cleared up, coming to Friends School. By the way, my daughter, where's Julie? She helps me with this stuff. So if you got a complaint, see her. So I came to Friends School, part-time middle coach for middle school football, middle school basketball, JV baseball. And I had to go tell Tubby Raymond, University of Delaware. He was a baseball coach before he said football coach. I had to give up my eligibility. But they offered me $80 per month for 10 months as a coach. I said, that's a pretty good deal. I thought I'd go home and tell Diane. But, so then they offered me a job. But I had an opportunity to set up a phys ed program in my old district, Wilmington High School. But they didn't have any PE. So a classmate of mine, we took 5 schools and put in PE, grade school through 6. But 2 years later, they get a call. And I thought, I better not turn them down twice. So Art Hill, who was the head basketball coach, very good, great coach and teacher. You've heard that before. So Art decides he's going to give up basketball because he's the first middle school principal. He can't keep doing both. He would never admit it, but I think it helped his decision because he graduated 6 very good seniors. One of them was an first-team All-Stater, Dave Smith. And what he was leaving behind, we have these guys that were young, no one over 6 feet. Okay, later they grew. But so Art gave up the basketball, and one of the first stories. We're going to put this over here. My early impressions about Friends School weren't sure about the whole Quaker approach at first. Sandy Heath was our department head in the history department. He also coached the sophomore cross-country team. So he invites Diane and I to come and see a football game and watch his team run, at halftime. So we walk onto the campus at sophomore, nice Quaker school, right? And they got cheerleaders. We got cheerleaders. And the first cheer we hear out of their mouths was, "Kill, Quakers, kill." What have I gotten myself into? Anyway, I came away with the impression these Quakers wanted to win. And they weren't that good either. But the second thing was getting used to that word consensus. I really wasn't a consensus guy. And the public school would have been the whole time. Not only that, I probably couldn't spell it either. Like Pete Townsend, idemic, spell that one. But anyway, Art Hill, who is now our middle school principal, told me, he says, look, if it doesn't affect your program, don't worry about it. So we operated on that. Is that okay? The other thing was the Tower Hill rivalry, how important it was. Art Hill, again, explains to me, that's former basketball coach. and how passionate our parents can be. Yeah, you can all relate to that. Win or else. But what he explains is that during the Friends Towerville basketball game on Friday night, one of the mothers of one of the players, and I won't name her, she's still alive, but she proceeds to disagree with the referee when he comes to the sideline. So she takes off her high heel shoe and bops him over the head. True story. True story. They were very passionate. And so the other thing was, I take over the varsity basketball team. We don't have a guy over 6 feet. So we lose all our scrimmages. We lose our first 3 games. Right? And ours is, we're going to go scout Towerville. Next game's Towerville. We're going to go scout Towerville. And he brought in one of the best coaches in the state. We talked things over. They mentored me. So we go, we watch this. Well, we turn out, we beat them 39-35. We got close. Right? Yeah. So that Saturday night, Diane and I are at the gathering of friends. And somebody asked me, they said, how do you like their friends? I said, well, we beat Towerville Friday night, maybe I'll get a contract. I had no idea when contracts came out. I had nothing to do with that, however. But Monday morning, I searched my mailbox, there was a new contract. I got the impression you better win. You better win. I always wondered if we lost, but I got that new contract. It was right there Monday morning. And so I thought, well, we better win. And we did for the next 2 years that I coached basketball. At that time, we won. And then we went for 9 years before we lost them in football. 9 years in a row. So what happened? Oh, good, Bruce, you're right there. What happened in 1977, we lose the game, 21-8, something like that. Towerville worked right to them. I get a phone call from one of Bruce's classmates, Bobby Howard, who was a good player in football and basketball for us. And I'm thinking he's going to call and console me. No, he's calling, he's upset. I cost him a bottle of wine. These guys used to bet on games in this league. And for 9 years we beat him in football. You think I ever saw him? No. I lose one, he's calling me. I quickly reminded him, where was he the last 9 years when he learned some wine? True story. Nice. Varsity football, 1968. So Frank Lafferty had been our coach for about 15 years, and Frank was getting ready to retire. And Charles Sutton calls me in, and we lose power.
We've got back up.
I used to not have any problem talking loud. But it's good. You got it? Okay. So anyway, we had just finished basketball season, beat Towerville last game, feeling great, very relaxed. And Charles calls me into his office and says, he'd like me to be the next head football coach. So that's the last day, in 54 years I relaxed. So I had 2 requests. One, I said, I'd like to make sure we start on the first available day of practice, because they didn't always do that. And 2, I want to take the team away to whenever I can. I kind of said that low and slow. no way. And so Charles Sutton and Ted Savory, our school principal, said, okay. I think they wanted to get me out of town. But I couldn't believe that it was that easy. When we had the basketball teams, we used to have students make up programs. I practically had to sign my life away to get it. That was professionalism. And but we did it. And the kids did a great job. So we go off to camp for the next 45 years. We're the only people to do it the way we did it. We went 9 years in the Poconos, and then 35 at Camp Tocqueville, 36. If I remember. Okay, so anyway, but that was so important. We had players right here in Alpocas. We had players from Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and to take everybody at once away. And I had been part of that as a player. There were the only other ones to do it. But it set the culture, and I thought that was so important. And it lasted a long time. So immediately, this was spring break now, so I immediately took Diane and we went to the Poconos. Can you imagine climbing a football field with 2 feet of snow over the road? And we went from south to north, the entire Poconos, finally found a team for a camp that was going to have an opening. So we went there at Camp Tanala for 1 year. The practice field was on the slope, but we really did toughen up. And then the next year we moved to the biggest camp in the Poconos, at Cuba, which was like luxury. After 9 years, we moved down to Camp Tocqueville in the Eastern Shore, which is where I attended camp as a player. But that was so important, and I'll tell you who really loved it. They came to love it. Parents. They're getting rid of their son who's a pain in the neck all summer. And they started planning their vacations. And the kid was at football camp. He didn't have to worry about what he was doing at night, what time he was getting in. So we had a real cheering section. And so we finally had to stop after things changed so much. And now cell phones came into use. We don't want cell phones at camp. We had one phone that was used by everybody, and they had to fight to use that. But the logistics of camp and school was now getting harder and harder to do, right? So we finally had to stop. 2013, is that right, Artie?
Yeah.
I rely on other people that
Scott's here, after Scott's here.
So what we did, I was looking for something, because our seniors were disappointed. As much as they would moan and groan about camp and the food, they still wanted to go. And so I'm looking for something different. I'm at a football clinic in Ocean City, Maryland. I meet a guy from Michigan, and he had what he called Victory Day. And I took it from there, and I found out that Special Olympics here in Delaware, they have grown fall football day. So I had the concept, I had the idea, but then, like so many times, I surround myself with good people, and I put Harvey Kentner, stand up, Harvey. Harvey took it from there, and it was the best decision I could have made. And by the way, in case anybody didn't know, I'm going further embarrassing, he's my son-in-law now. Oh, good. He's also very smart. But he's now the director of ESPN Monday Night Football. After 13 years of Fox, they finally got smart. ESPN recruited him, and they'll be the Super Bowl next year. How to get that in? Julie told me. Next subject is tenets of the program. Well, the number one thing is this. Team is number one versus the individual. Team is number one. And we never had a number one jersey. Much to the chagrin of Donnie Morton. I know Donnie's here tonight, but he is. Somewhere. Where are you, Don? Anyway. He's trying to hide, that's okay. Talk about him anyway. He thought it was a new concept. He said, he knew we were getting new jerseys, and he says, can I get number one? I said, we already have number one. And he looks at me like I'm an idiot, which sometimes, you know. I said, number one is the team. Okay, so we went from there. I look around now, I said, what, if a guy demands he wants number one, what else is he going to want? And maybe you can't deliver, or want to. The second, the team was first, but the student came before the athlete. Care about players as individuals. We had some guys that didn't think they could play. We convinced them they could. Pete. I got to tell you, the first time I'm going to his office there one time, and his nurses, I started talking about him, what a good player he was. He played with undefeated teams and was a main player. They couldn't believe he was a football player. They thought I was joking. I said, no, he was good. They were undefeated. In those 4 years, 3 of them, he was a player. Give the kids, I had another point here. To be an excellent motivator, surround yourself with self-motivated people. Self-motivated people. They are our best advocates for football. Their passion and their perseverance. Give them what they need when they need it. When do they need it? Between ages 14 and 18. What do they need? That depends on each individual player. Some played because people told them they couldn't. Some played because they were just very good at it. Some people because they wanted to be something bigger than themselves. All kinds of reasons. There aren't too many more pages here. You guys took away some of my stuff earlier. I will tell you, I have a bunch of different stories about individuals. But there's one, he's not here tonight, he's out in Columbus, Ohio, Clark Sanders. And Clark Sanders, we're in our second year of being undefeated. We're playing the last game of the season at Tower Hill. We weren't allowed to go to state tournaments in these days. And Clark is third in the state in scoring. They kept records every week. But it's going to be our last game. So it's one of those years we happen to be beating Tower Hill pretty good. And we're there. And Scotty Reese has scored a touchdown. Mike Rushton scored a touchdown. Clark Sanders has scored maybe 2. And we're ready to score again. I sent him a play. We're going to score. And all of a sudden there's a timeout. So, excuse me. John Reynolds, he's a quarterback. And he wasn't a big runner for us, and real smart guy. We later think he worked for the CIA. Good story. But anyway, he comes there and says, "What's wrong?" The players, Clark called timeout. They want John to score. It was, excuse me, I wrote a letter, what are those books called? What are they called? I sent a thing in about him one time. It was more important for Clark that all 4 seniors scored than it was whether he was third, second, or first. I just thought that said it all about the culture of our team. Building the service and community. When we went to camp, each player who was new, whether he was a freshman or not, had specific duties. Some of those guys learned for the first time how to set a table, be a waiter, get there 15 minutes early, set everything up. But everybody did it, regardless if you were a freshman or a first-year player, which we sometimes had. This library here, when it was brand new, Poppy Woodall was our main librarian, okay? And they needed furniture brought in here. So I volunteered football team between sessions, between double sessions, and we helped carry things into this library. Okay. And then I get a call from years later from Don DeWeese. He was president or chairman or something of the East Side Charter School. And he says, can we get some football players? I volunteer them all the time. So it was 2 weeks before the start of football season, and we moved the East Side Charter School from the east side of Wilmington. I grew up on East 22nd Street. And we moved into the new building. Took 2 days, and I can still remember one of our big tackles, Robbie Rizzo, lugging a refrigerator on his back to the second floor. And that was really good. He didn't get hurt. I was worried more about that. So we talked about Special Olympics, and that was very important once we stopped going to camp. And then I had a friend of mine at the beach runs different businesses, and he thinks I might be interested in this book. And great. You didn't know I had this book, did you? You used the word great. But Angela Dunkworth, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. He said, I think you might like it. So I read it. It's a great book. But I thought it spoke directly to our athletic programs here at Friends. Not just football, but all. Power of passion and perseverance. So I had Josh Schloff. Where are you at, Josh? All the way in the back. He's a tall guy in the back. He's one of those sophomore graduates. Play football and basketball up there till they drop football. He and Chris. But Josh is the head coach at Loyola College in Baltimore. And all our old players come back often. We haven't talked to the team. And so Josh was here one. I said to Josh, have you ever read this book? He said, read it? I gave it to all my players to read. It's a very good book. And it talks about achievement and success. I know it's got to be bigger, faster, stronger. And it's whether you agree with everything she says or it's worth reading. And it's good for players to know. And we had so many examples of that grit. I wasn't going to mention all of them, don't worry. But where's Sam Berkeley? Sam here tonight? he and Ari are going to pay my milkshake, by the way. God bless him.
Go to John and Kelly. John and Kelly. Go to Kelly. Kelly's here.
Where-
John.
where is
Lily Hawks.
Oh, there you are. She's the daughter of Vince Bush. But Sam, where's Sam? He should be here. Helping pack. They just told me that sucked. I really did. I said, how's it going? They packed it up. So, Sam Berkeley, though, it involves grit and perseverance. As a sophomore, Sam was injured in the second game of the season. And Welsh explained. Knew something happened in car accidents before seatbelts.
Wow.
So he's out, he's done for the season. Except he had a good surgeon, Chuck Hobbs. That name shouldn't mean much to most of you. But the week before we're playing Tower Hill, somebody's nodding right there. And he gets permission from Chuck to practice and play. But okay, well, he's so weak, he's like, I had him in gym class, he couldn't even go sit up, but he had some skill. So I put, Sam gets in one play in the first half, catches a short pass, gets us out of a hole, and that's it, on one play. We're down 14-0 at the half. Somehow we come back, it's 14-12. And I sent Sam in on third down, kicked the field goal. He had never kicked a field goal. Kicked the field goal. And he makes it, we win with 15 seconds to go, 15-14. Tower Hill people still have not forgiven us. He gave Ridley an opportunity to play. Go 2 years later, now he's a senior, and he leads the state in scoring. He gets a lot of extra points and field goals, but he was a great player, played at Cornell before Robbie. And so here he is. But what I remember most about his senior year, we won the state championship, but then that perseverance also kicks in, that grit. He's a state track champion. And he gets beat in the county meet right down here at Bain. I so-called Poynter Stadium. I don't care how much money they gave us for it. He gets beat, but here's what the difference is. On Sunday morning, Sam's at Lincoln University working out, and I know that guys at the weren't. The next week at the state tournament, he wins. Grit, perseverance. Oh, excuse me. You know, I got a little hip problem here tonight. It shows, but I thought, after all I made all these guys do, you think I can miss this? I never took pity on them. Dan Fleming and Andy Atkins, two of the guys in the room, never lost a football game in 4 years. They all gave you credit then, but it wasn't true. So we had so many guys who came back from injuries or other reasons and showed true grit and success. And that was one of the examples in my sheet. Other guys made great contributions. Andy was up here talking earlier, and Gary Scott. Where's Gary? Yeah. Gary's senior year, I asked him to play. We had lost a couple guys for various reasons. We didn't have a quarterback. So I asked Gary, who was a great player for us, to play quarterback until we could get somebody ready. So he plays quarterback, and then halfway through the season, the second half, we make the switch. Gary, you go back to running back, and Carl Hoppe, the freshman, you come in and play quarterback. We came from behind and win that game. But Gary made the sacrifice that needed to be made. By the way, he's also the only guy, I think, in the room with 13 varsity letters, 5 football, 4 basketball, 4 baseball. One of the goals for my youngest grandson, Brian, was to match Gary's solo. But times change, and Brian was on his way, but he gave up playing baseball his senior year, which I never enjoyed as an old baseball coach. But you're only going to play in high school more than one sport. But anyway, it turned out for him to show you how times change now. To get recruited, you've got to go to these camps and all these different places. And it did pay off for him. He finally accepted Harvard, so it turned out okay. But I thought he just did that to spite his brothers at Yale. And they're going to play against each other. I call it civil war in the house. But the other thing was, Andy Mack, where are you, Mack? He alluded to the fact, he's still awake. See where he stands? That's what he used to do in the team meetings. But he alluded to the fact he broke his wrist and he had a full cast on. And so he was upset when I said, you can't be a running back anymore. I mean, after all, we can't trust you fumbling the ball, you got a cast on. And people are going to throw the ball at you when you're on defense. So he made him a guard, and he could play with the cast on it right properly. So he played a guard all the rest of the season, but he's never forgiven me for not giving him one more chance. He said, Tower Hill game, one more chance. No, let's win the game first. She's the enforcer in the family. We'll wrap it up, probably a bit late. Well, we went through a trial run of this, but it's your fault. We had it done in 18 minutes. I walked in here tonight, and you know what's amazing? I asked for a list of who was coming. We had so many players, trainers, it's amazing how, with a Friends School education, most of you guys didn't have enough wisdom to sign up. So, I'm supposed to get the families now. And before I said that, let me give you one other thing. Fun. We never thought football was fun, or any place with athletics. It's not, in my opinion, they're not meant to be fun. Fun is playing frisbee with your grandkids. It's fun. It's a non-goal setting activity. That's fun. But when you do something that's difficult to do, that's hard, and you do it well, that's satisfying and rewarding. And that's what interscholastic athletics should be, in my opinion. I'll tell you, Doctor, I used to get phone calls once in a while from parents. Can you believe that? But 90% of it is good. But I would get, Dr. John Garrett would say to me, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Because you got caught in with these stories. And then Bill Quillen would call me up. And Judge Quillen would leave a message. Maybe critiquing something, and always ended with, you don't have to call me back. So I didn't. Here's the family sheet. Lisa? Okay. The enforcer. I've been blessed with family. Okay. So many of you have. And, you know, three, my two daughters, they had to endure the fact that the boys in the class weren't always happy with them. And so Julie and Susan were there about it, and with Rob, they didn't care. But when you're coaching your own son, that can be a problem. And only happened twice, I got really mad. But that was good. But Diane has been a consistent supporter throughout. Just to give you one idea, Rob was born on September 17, 1972, early in the year. We go undefeated. We go undefeated for the next 4.5 years. We decided to keep him. The good thing was, we beat Archmere, opening game. Diane leaves to go to a reception, we're just going ahead. Rob's born on Sunday, and I don't have to miss a coach's meeting. And she never missed a game for the 4 years, because she was at the next week's game too. The last thing about Tower Bill. Susan, her family, Bobby Davis, who was one of our players, and she married. They had 3 sons, and I said to Sue, you know, if you have a 4th boy, I got a full backfield. The longtimes will. And then I said, you have one more boy, and I got a basketball team. That one didn't go over so well. So we wound up at 4. And speaking of grit, you want to tell me he's doing all right?
Will. Yeah, he's good. He's recovering.
My number 5 had a horrible car accident. Drunk driver, that one. You talk about grit. Person. He has shown more grit and perseverance in numerous operations, and he's doing great. I also must say, when it came time to make Rob, I went through, he took over 18 when I had a little operation. So we made him the interim coach. And then we made him, in 2022, I became the associate head coach. That's a fancy title for but he took over. So he wins the state championship in his first year. Took me by 15 years to do that. But
Had a good teacher.
I called it giving the program an upgrade, and then he did a facelift. But he kept the same fundamentals and how we practice, what we practice. So I kept all that. But that's not easy to do. And I didn't tell you. You back? I told you, it's all your fault.
Keep
It's all
going.
your fault. I see so many people here that I haven't seen for a while, and I haven't been able to, but let me ask you this. If you played for me, you coached for me, but we have so many good coaches. You know, I always said 3 main things. Somebody asked me, what are the 3 most important things about an assistant coach? And I said, loyalty, and loyalty. But when they're also great teachers, they're motivators, and they're mentors. When you get that, then you know that's what I was blessed with all these years coaching. What do you think?
Keep going.
All right. I want to thank you all for coming. I remember another phrase I used one time. I was being inducted into the Delaware thing. Barbara Streisand had a song. I heard good songs. They're all good. People. Right? And what she said, people who need people.
Yes.
Are the luckiest people in the world. Yes. And that's me. One more thing. Let's get the last word. That's how you after a tough win, we're in the locker room and we're all done. There's only one thing left to say. So all you players should remember. 3 cheers for the Quakers. Hip, hip.